For decades, the United States was China's #1 supplier of soybeans. China, as the world's largest consumer of this vital crop, relied on massive imports to feed its livestock industry and produce cooking oil. For American farmers, Beijing was a stable customer, guaranteeing demand for tens of millions of tons each year. But then Donald Trump launched his trade war. Heavy tariffs were slapped on Chinese goods, and Beijing struck back. Their message was clear: fine, we'll buy elsewhere. With that single move, America's soybean industry plunged into crisis. Prices collapsed, debts piled up, and farmers across the Midwest faced an uncertain future. Meanwhile, Brazil and other South American countries were suddenly handed a golden opportunity to step in and dominate the global market. Brazil jumped in. China bought 10 million tons, 90% from Brazil, only 4% from the US. A huge export port is being built by China's state-owned Cofco near São Paulo, Brazil. Costing $285 million, it could cost US farmers billions. Over the past decade, China spent hundreds of billions on American crops. Now, much of that demand may bypass the US. In 2018, the US imposed tariffs on China, and Beijing retaliated. Trade dipped briefly, then China's demand for US crops recovered. But the first trade war pushed Beijing to seek alternative suppliers. Brazil sold $60 billion in farm goods to China in 2023. Its new port will boost trade. In 2024, Santos Port handled a record 180 million tons of cargo, over half being agricultural products like corn, sugar, and Brazil's key export, soybeans. Valued at over $50 billion, about 30% of Brazil's soybean trade passes through Santos, mostly to China, but the port is struggling to keep up with demand. Santos Port is nearly full. Cofco's new terminal raises exports from 4.5 to 14 million tons. U.S. farmers worry after Trump's trade war cost them $27 billion. Donald Trump: we have a $1 trillion trade deficit with China. Hundreds of billions of dollars are lost to them every year, and unless we fix this, I will not make a deal. Since Trump returned, China cut soybean and pork imports. U.S. farmers suffer, while Brazil's growing port lets China buy even less from America. Santos Port fits Beijing's plan to access South America's abundant crops. Chinese firms are building hundreds of miles of rail across Brazil and planning a $3.5 billion mega port in Peru to connect these regions. China's nearly 3,000-mile railway could cut Brazil to Asia exports by 10 days. While promising billions in revenue, it also poses risks for Brazil. The new Santos Port may accelerate Brazil's de-industrialization. For a time, Brazil seemed a rare winner in Trump's trade war, exporting more crops to the US and China. But Trump recently imposed 50% tariffs on many Brazilian goods, partly linked to a criminal case against former President Jair Bolsonaro, a close Trump ally. Brazil refuses to drop the case. With China already its top trade partner, these US tariffs combined with Cofco's new port could push Brazil and China even closer, strengthening their trade ties for years to come.